Hello guys, welcome back to the new video. So in this video we will give the functionality to our subject screen. So first let's open our subject screen. So here again we will create a data class where we will keep all our states like as we did with the dashboard screen. So here let's create one more data class with the name subject states. So these all will be our states. So let's see the screen also. Let's click on any of the subject. We will use this to keep the ID of current loaded subject. After this we have this subject name, goal study hours and this subject card colors. We will use these three values to keep the state of this update subject card. And next we have this studied hours, so we will keep the value of this study hour count. And next we have this recent sessions list. So here we will keep the list of these recent sessions. And next we will keep the upcoming task and completed task. And next we have this session to keep the session when user will click on this delete icon. So we can delete that particular session. And this progress value we will keep to calculate the value of this progress indicator. So let's move this up with this studied hours and this one with this. So in the same way, let's also create a sealed class for keeping all our users actions. So these all will be our users actions. So let's use these events and states in our subject screen. So here let's scroll and let's pass these two things here. Now let's attach these states with their respective value and this on event with their respective on click. So let's scroll it. So first of all, let's delete these three values because we will manage these three values from the view model. And here in our add subject dialog, let's update these state values from our state data class. And also these on clicks with their respective events. And next here in our delete dialog, let's also attach that on event. And in the same way here also in this And let's scroll down, and here in our subject screen top app bar, this title we will give through the state. And let's scroll down, and here in our subject overview section, this studied hour also we will get through the state. And next in our task list, we will use this task list from our state. And here this on checkbox click, here also attach this event. And let's copy this, and same we will provide this event here and also this task list from our state. And let's scroll down, and here also. So here it is giving error, so let's press Ctrl B. So here we need to change this our string to session of type session, like this. And let's go back to our subject screen, so this won't give error anymore. So here we have attached all our states and events. Now let's scroll up. So here it is giving error, so here we need to provide these two things into this subject screen. So let's go to our subject view model, and here first create that state. So for initializing the state and getting these flow values, I have written the similar code as we did in the dashboard view model. So here first I have initialized the subject state with mutable state flow. So here we have these two state values. So this one we will use to update the state value in this view model, and this one we will use to read the values in the subject screen. Here we will combine the state and the flow values of these four functions, and then with these values I have updated the state. And here also I am using that to our extension function which we created in the util package. And after this I have used this state function. So here we are using this view model scope and this starting strategy to while subscribed, and here I have passed this stop timeout millis to 500, and initial values will be the initial values I given in this subject state. First thing, let's go to the dashboard screen view model, and here let's scroll down, and let's also provide the parameter here. So with this parameter, the readability of this function has increased. So let's close this. So these four functions are asking for the subject ID. because they will fetch only those tasks and sessions which are related to this subject which we fetch. So first let's go to the dashboard screen. So here when user will click on this subject card, so we are navigating to our subject screen and we are also passing the subject ID to this screen. So how we will get this subject ID into the view model of our subject? So to fetch the navigation argument, we have one class. So this saved state handle class will help us in getting that navigation argument. So here I will save that navigation argument in a value like this. So now we can use our navigation argument to provide the subject ID to these functions. So here let's use navarg dot subject ID. Now they will fetch the list only related to this subject ID. Let's also rename this function by pressing Shift F6. So here let's remove this ID. So now all these functions name are similar. Next let's create that on event function, and here let's press Alt Enter and remaining branches. So we have all these functions. So now let's use these two things in our subject screen. So first let's collect those states. So let's use this state here and that on event function here. Now let's go back to our subject view model, and here we have not provided the implementation of these four functions. So let's do this one by one. So first let's open our task repository implementation. So in our task repository implementation, here we have these two functions. So here first let's use that return keyword with task_DAO dot get task for subject. Here we will provide the subject ID, and next thing we need to filter these tasks only to those tasks which are not completed, and then sort these tasks with these two values. So again we will use this sort task function we created in the previous video. So here let's use that map. So here first we are filtering all those tasks which are not complete by using this not. And next let's sort this function like this. Let's copy this code and paste it here. And for this get completed task, again we will call this same code. Only the difference will be this time we will filter only those tasks which are completed. So let's go back to the view model, and here next we need to provide the implementation of these two functions. So for this let's go to the session repository, and here let's scroll down, and here we have these two functions. So for this function here we can simply call our session DAO and get total session duration by subject. And here also let's rename this function by pressing Shift F6 and remove this ID. And in the same way here also let's use that session DAO and get recent sessions for subject. Here we will provide the subject ID. We need the 10 sessions, so here let's use this take function with count like this. So now let's go back to our subject view model. Next we will create a function where we will fetch the subject. So here let's create a private function with the name fetchSubject. Again we will use this function in the ViewModel scope.launch. And here let's call that subject repository get subject by id. Subject id we will get through the navargs. So this function can also return the null value. So here we will put the null check with let function, and if that value is not null then we will use this code. So here we will get the subject, and with this subject we will update our state. So here we will update all our related states. So next we will call this function, but there are no buttons in our subject screen to call this subject function. So what we will do, we will say whenever this subject view model will create, so it should call this fetch subject function automatically. So for this thing here we have this init block. So here after this let's call that init, and here we can call our fetch function. So let's run our app and see is it working or not. So let's click on the first card. So it has crashed. So let's minimize this. Let's open our logcat. So let's scroll up, and here we have this error. So it is saying an operation is not implemented yet. So let's minimize this, and instead of it is here, let's change this from here to after creating our state. And now let's run it again. Let's again click on the first card. So again it has crashed. So first let me see the error and then I will discuss. So this error is because we have not implemented this get subject by id function. So we need to first implement this function. So let's minimize this and go back to the subject repository implementation. And here let's implement this function. So for this function again we can call our subject DAO, and let's call that get subject by id, and let's pass the subject id. So here let's rename this subject into subject id. So for that let's go to this subject repository interface, and here rename these two parameters by pressing shift F6. So here it is suggesting that we can also rename the subject implementation. So let's press OK, and in the same way here also let's change this. Now go back to our subject repository implementation, and let's also implement this delete subject function. So when we will delete the subject, we also need to delete the related sessions and tasks. So here first let's create those values. And here let's call the three functions. So first we will call this delete task by subject id to delete the related task, and then this delete session by subject id to delete the related subject, and then this particular subject. Now let's go back to our subject view model, and now we can run our app again. So let's click on the first card. So it has loaded this related subject on which card we clicked. So let's go back, and this time let's press on the second card. So here we have this related to the second card, and this time let's click on this one. So we can see it is fetching these subjects perfectly. So next we will give the functionality of this update subject. So for that, let's minimize this and this one also. And first let's implement these events. So here when the user will change the subject card color, so we will update our state. And let's copy this code, and in the same way we will update this on subject name change. And next we have this on goal hours change. Next we will create our update subject function. Let's create a function with the name update subject and press alt enter and create function. So this will be a private function. So here to update our subject, we will provide these four values from the values whatever we have in the state, because we can see we are updating our state with these respective on events. So let's run our app and see this change. Let's click on the first card, and here let's click on this edit icon. This time first change the card color and this subject name to something else. Goal study hours. Now press save. So we can see it has updated this subject name goal study hours. Let's press back button. Can also see this subject card color. But we can see when I typed the name something bigger, it has not come in the one line but moved to the next line. So here we can use single line parameter. So let's minimize this and go to our subject card. Here in this component package, and let's scroll down. So we have this text. Here we can use this max lines to 1. So the subject name will always be in a one line. Let's close this subject card. And next functionality we need to provide of the snack bar. Let's open our app. So when user will update the subject, so it should also notify the user through the snack bar that the subject has been updated. So let's minimize this. So here again we will use exactly same code which we implemented in the dashboard view model. So let's go to our dashboard view model and scroll down, and here we have this snack bar event. So let's copy this code and go to our subject view model, and let's scroll up, and after this let's paste this code. So here again we are creating this snack bar event flow with the help of this snack bar event sealed class which we created in the util package. Let's scroll down, and here let's use the try catch block and provide the required message to the snack bar. So here we are using this try catch block, and if this operation succeed, then we will provide this message, and if it fails, then we will provide this message and the duration will be long of this snack bar. And now let's go to the subject screen, and here let's scroll down and create that parameter for snack bar event. And let's attach our event with the view models one. And let's scroll down, and here again we will take the code from the dashboard screen, this code, let's copy it, and here let's paste it. So all this code will be exactly same. Here again we are collecting these events and providing the required message. And let's scroll down, and here again attach our snack bar host state to this scaffold. Now let's run our app and see these changes. So this time let's click on the second card and let's rename it to, and press save. So here we have our snack bar. Next thing, we will write the code of that progress indicator. Here we can see this one. So for this we will add one more event in our subject event sealed class with the name update progress. And let's go back to our subject screen. We can see in our screen there is no button to call this event function. So what we will do, we will use the launched effect. So here let's scroll up, and after this launched effect let's write one more. So here I have used this launched effect and I have provided these two keys. So this keys defined how frequently this launched effect will be called. So I have provided these two keys. So whenever there will be any change in either of these two keys, so this launch effect will be called and we will call our update progress event. So let's go to the subject view model, and here on our on event function it is giving error. So let's press alt enter and add remaining branches. So here we have our update progress event. Here let's write the code. So here first we will take the value of this goal study hours from our state and convert it into the float value. And then we will update our progress value by dividing these two values. And here I have called this 𝗏𝗏𝘀𝑐𝑒 function. So this 𝗏𝗏𝘀𝑐𝑒 function will make sure that our progress value should always lies between 0 and 1. And this progress state value we are already reading in our subject screen. So here let's scroll down, and here we can see in our subject overview section we are reading this value. And let's press Ctrl B and let's scroll down, and first we are converting this into the percentage, and then we are providing the progress value to this circular progress indicator and the percentage value to this text. So this is how we will show this progress bar. Next, we will give the functionality of this delete subject. So let's go to the view model and here create one more function with the name delete subject. So this will be our delete subject function. So here first we are getting this current subject ID from the state and then checking if this ID is not null, then we will call our delete subject function from the repository. And if it is successful, then we will show this, otherwise we will show this message. Here one more thing we need to do, because when we delete this subject, so user should navigate back to the dashboard screen. So for this we will also keep checking whether this operation has successfully done or not. So here let's update the is loading value from the state. So here first this will set the is loading value to false, and let's copy this, and after when we will done this, then we will update this value to true. And first let's attach this delete function with the event, and let's go to the subject screen and scroll up. So here we will check if our loading value is not true. So we will check if this state.isLoading value is not true. Then we will call this on back button click. So with this on back button click, we will navigate back to the previous screen. I think I made the mistake. So let's go back to the subject view model. And here first we will make this value to true. So when this function will be called, first we will set this is loading value to true. And if this will complete, then we will make this value to false. Now we can run our app and see this functionality. So first let's click on the first card and press this delete icon and this delete subject. Here it has not deleted the subject. So let's look at the code. So I checked the code. The problem is with this is loading state. Here right now what is happening when we are clicking on this on confirm button. So here first this is calling this event, and then while deleting the subject it navigate us to the back screen, so that subject deletion process stops in the middle. So we will modify some code. First of all, let's delete all the code related to this is loading state. So here first let's delete this if block and go to the subject state, and here let's press Ctrl B. So we are using this state at two places. Let's remove these and also from our state. So here we will write our modified code. So first let's save this current ID to a val, and here let's use the if else block, and if this current subject ID is null, then we will emit our snack bar event with different message. And here if we get some exception, then we will pass this message in the snack bar event. Here we will also handle that navigate up functionality. We will only navigate to the back screen when this code will work. So what we will do, let's go to this snack bar event sealed class by pressing Ctrl B, and here let me add one more event. We will use this event when we will need to navigate up to the screen. So let's go back to our subject view model, and here when this deletion subject will perform, then we will also emit navigate up event. Now let's go to the subject screen. So from here let's delete this on back button, click and scroll up. So here we are collecting our snack bar event. So let's press Alt Enter on this when block at remaining branches. And here when this navigate up event will be collected, then we will go to the back screen. And also here in the dashboard screen, it will give error. So here let's also add this event, and we don't need to provide anything here. So let's just put blank parenthesis. Now we can run our app and see this functionality. So let's click on this physics card and press this delete icon and delete. It has not deleted the subject, but it is showing this snack bar. So here we can read the message cannot access database on the main thread, since it may cause potentially lock the UI for a longer period of time. So this error is happening. Let's go to the subject view model, and here let's change the thread using with context. So here let's use this dispatchers.io. So let's run it again. So this time let's again click on this delete icon, and we can see we have successfully deleted the subject. We can also see the database in our Android Studio. So here we have this app inspector. If you don't have, you can access from this list. So let's open this app inspector. So this is our StudySmart database. Here we have these four tables, and this session table and this task table will be empty because we have not added any task and session yet. Let's open this subject table, and here we have our two subjects. So let's click on this live update and let's add one more subject. So as we added the subject, here also we can see in our entity that one more entry has been added in our database. And let's click the first subject English. That subject has also been deleted from the database. And here we can see the other fields also. The colors will be saved like this, and the goal hour as we provided. So let's minimize this and let's scroll up. So right now we have not provided these three functionalities because we don't have any sessions and tasks yet. So these functionality we will provide in the future videos. So for this video this will be all, and in the next video we will give the functionality to our task screen. So do subscribe if you don't want to miss the next video. Thanks for watching.